it would appear to me that people who claim to belong to a club or a party get actually subsumed or owned by the party and lose the context of the bigger picture.
We want peace. We want unity.
Absolute unity and calmness among the membership of Zanu PF. Nay, a dissenting voice in resonance to those outsiders who are calling for chaos in Zanu PF.
Now this is the free talk. So this week we are in Nyanga Trotbeck, where we're having amazing discussions around building our nation and making it better for the now and future generations. And we are going to be having this amazing discussion around the economy and the politics of Zimbabwe and how the people, you at home, can make a decisive decision to change it. Now this is, and this will always be, the free talk with me, your host as usual, Dara Blessed Mhlanga. Now my guest, who I'm going to have a conversation with on this, the final episode of Free Talk this year, the final episode of the Free Talk this year is none other than Dr. Nkosana Moyo, the founder and president of APA. But he contested as a presidential candidate. He was a former Minister of Industry and Commerce who only lasted 10 months on the job. He left, being one of the very, very few, if not the only, cabinet ministers in Zimbabwe to resign and leave their job. And he joins me on this, the Free Talk, in proud partnership with the Frederick Newman Foundation for Freedom. So join me after this break as we get down to some business. Doc, do you think in Zimbabwean cabinet, a cabinet minister has autonomy to be their own man, to be able to bring in policies and things that would be accepted, that would differ maybe with party position or, you know, the general thinking, which might not be what the minister would want?
What do you mean what the minister would want? So firstly, let's go back to what a cabinet is, okay? My perception of what a cabinet is. A cabinet is like a team. In a team, let's take a team of football. You know that there are different positions that the different players play, they are good at and so on. There is a goalkeeper plus all these other, you know, the people who play in the front who are good at scoring, in the defense, midfield, and all of those things, yeah? But none of those people on their own make a team. None of them. You cannot call the goalkeeper a team. The goalkeeper needs all the other players to be in place. And for all those other players to be good at playing their role within the context of the whole. A cabinet is also like a jigsaw puzzle. Each piece is not a picture on its own. All of them together complete the picture, right? Which means the policy framework cannot be owned by a minister. A minister proposes, cabinet debates, and it looks at relevance and how it fits with all the other departmental policies to form the picture. Because the resource allocation similarly must then look at everything so that it all works as a team. You understand?
So how is it then that other cabinet ministers outperform other cabinet?
No. Performance is one thing, but I think where you have to start again is, how do our cabinets, and I say our because it's most African cabinets, they work on a bilateral basis with the head of state because there is no proper understanding of the role of cabinet owning all of the policy. Minister propose, cabinet debates, adjust, and owns policy. Minister must then go back and implement on behalf of cabinet in a manner that is consistent with all of the other ministries. You understand? But if your starting point is that to be a minister is your ability to negotiate bilaterally with the head of state rather than negotiate in cabinet with everybody else, then you don't even get started. You understand what the difference is? We run this bilateral system, which means it then becomes not on how it fits together, but on individual relationships with the head of state and your ability to negotiate. But there is no point having one department getting resources which are disproportionate to all of the others in such a way that you cannot complete the jigsaw puzzle picture. There is no point.
So for government to effectively work, from what I'm getting from you, is that cabinet must act as a unit and they must not be super ministers as we have been seeing.
Absolutely. Even the model that we adopted, where the Minister of Finance is like a super ministry, is wrong, in my opinion. Because the Minister of Finance's role must be, yes, their specialty is to be able to propose policies that allow government as a whole to have sufficient resources to execute a plan jointly agreed with everybody. They propose a development plan. In fact, I would make the planning ministry separate from Ministry of Finance and clarify more the role of the Ministry of Finance. Once the cabinet has made the decisions, the prioritizations, and the resource allocation, Ministry of Finance can then be given the responsibility that it should have of overseeing the spending patterns and compliance with the resources already allocated. You understand? That's how it should work.
So, some have argued that the biggest problem in Zimbabwe government is not even the ministers, but the technocrats who actually sometimes block good ideas, or some have overstayed there to the point that their relevance is now diminished.
I would not be able to answer that because I don't know how the current system works. But previously, I think the opposite was the problem was exactly the opposite. Where the ministers, instead of being responsible for policy, they made themselves the operating authorities. In our system, in theory, the permanent secretary is the accounting officer and is supposed to be responsible for implementation. The minister is supposed to be responsible for policy formulation. But in this country, the politicians not make themselves responsible not just for policy formulation, but they override the technocrats. And the politicians, more often than not, are not experts. You get a politician who knows, look at the way they are shuffled and given portfolios that they know nothing about. You get somebody going to run the, let's say, ZESA, Department of Energy, who is not an engineer, has never studied electricity in their lives and so on and so on. And you get them overriding the decisions that are being made by people who technically are trained to understand what goes on. That has been our problem before. So what you're describing now, I don't know. It could be what that things have changed, where the technocrats are doing things that they shouldn't do. But ordinarily, firstly, the technocrats should not be politicians. But again, because in this country we've politicized everything, the appointments are made even at what is supposed to be technocratic level on a political basis. So we've undermined the possibility of efficiency and a specialization in how we do the appointments by politicizing everything. You hire somebody to go and run Air Zimbabwe. You hire a politician, not somebody who understands about how an airline works. You hire somebody to go and run NASA. You hire a politician, not somebody who understands about finance and the pension funds. And it goes on and on and on, which is why we are where we are today.
But why are, in your view, why are the politicians taking all this, overriding technocrats? What do you think is the basis of that problem? Because
we've made politics the override, all and be all of what a country is about. We've not understood that so if I want to run an airline, I don't fly the planes, do I? I invest in the sector, and then I go and look for people, firstly, pilots who can fly the planes. Secondly, a CEO who actually understands the industry. They are not shareholders, they are employees. So if I want to use the analogy of shareholders, citizens are the shareholders. Politicians, by winning a mandate through an electoral process, are the interim shareholders for the duration of the term, okay? The technocrats are employees who implement the policies of the winning party. But Isusu, we don't do that. We think the winning party should put its own politicians to go and fly the aeroplane.
Some have said that politics is now employment. It's now a source of industry. Would you push back against that?
No, I would agree, and sadly so. And it's a pity because when you think it through properly, let's assume that we all believed in democracy, and I like to use this example. If we believed in democracy and you allow an 18-year-old who is coming, if you are lucky, they are coming out of college, they've never worked, they've not established themselves in a career of some sort. You allow them to run for elective office. They win, they are therefore elected as an MP. 5 years afterwards, they lose. Where do they go? What do they do? How do they support themselves and their family? And a part of our problem of people who then want to die in politics is because we've turned politics into a career, as opposed to politics as a service to your community. I have worked, I've retired from my job, I can look after my family. Now I want to give back to, I could do politics for no money because I don't need the political money to look after my family.
So you're saying politics is not for children?
In my opinion, no. Politics, voting is politics, but voting is for all citizens. Elective office, we need to think much more carefully about. You are elected to be a councillor at age 18. Unozibachi. What have you experienced in your life in order to be able to go and supervise the delivery of services to the citizens of a city? What is it? So we need to be clear in our own minds. Voting, active citizenship, everybody who is of voting age, in my opinion, should be literally forced to vote.
How do you give
Elective office, however, to give it to people who have just come out of college. I've just given you an example. So if they lost in the next election, tell me what they're going to do.
How do you give someone power to vote but want to take away the right
I'm
for
not
them
taking,
to sit?
I'm using a logic. I want you to tell me you've won when you were 18. You've lost when you were 23. Unoenda kupi?
Can you become a lawyer in that way?
No, but remember, unakumbo practice. Unakumbo practice. Who is going to hire you? They want to see. Wakapasa, yes, wakanyura exams wakapasa. But what do you know about law? You've never practiced. You didn't invest in establishing yourself, whether as an engineer, an accountant, or whatever. You didn't do any of that.
But the Zimbabwean system allows one to be an MP and still be employed elsewhere, right?
Well, but how many of them do that? They turn it into the job, full-time job.
You made a statement some time back that Zimbabweans who are running for political office are not seeking to change anything, but they want to join the gravy train. You still stand by that?
Yes, I still stand by it. In fact, I would say not just Zimbabweans. I think if you look at sub-Saharan Africa, the politics, where politics is a career, and when you look at situations where the opposition has won an election and there's been a change of government from one party to another, give me examples of where anything has changed. It's Animal Farm. They fight claiming that they actually would implement something different. They get in there and they do exactly the same. In many ways, sadly, I would say even our liberation war, the only thing we fought for was to become the white man. And that's what we did. We won and then we became the white man. And we are mistreating our own citizens today at the very least just as badly as a white man did.
And those who removed Mugabe?
Well, tell me what has changed. You tell me. They said, we are removing the president because we want to remove the corruption around him. That's what they verbatim virtually. Tell me what has changed. Show me.
Haven't they been serious about fighting corruption?
Oh, really? Is that a serious statement?
It's a question.
Well, look for yourself. Look for yourself. Look at, isn't it interesting? The pace at which we did the Harare roads because we were wanting to host the SADC summit. We did that in a flash and it's all gone. In other words, SADC visitors here are more important than the citizens. So you can tell where our priorities lie. It's not with the citizens. Is it?
I want us to
Is it?
It's something, it's an enigma to be honest, because citizens pay tax, citizens demand services. And when you look at the roads that lead to Parliament, to Mount Upton, if you just detour for just 100 meters, you're in serious potholes, right?
Do we even need to build Mount Hampden? Our hospitals don't have medicines. Why did we need to build Mount Hampden? Why are members of parliament given multiple vehicles when our country, our citizens are living in the conditions in which they are living? Why do we do that?
You sat there, you were appointed a cabinet minister, and this was happening. Why were you doing it?
No. But how long did I last? How long did I stay? 10 months. And I said, bye-bye. Because I said I disagree. Because as soon as it became obvious to me that my thinking was not going to be absorbed into the system, I said, what am I doing here? My attitude was, maybe I shouldn't, because at the end of the day, what I saw to was state secrecy, so I shouldn't tell you too much. But I disagreed, and having disagreed, I said, I'm out of here. And that's exactly what I did.
How many people?
And it doesn't mean at that point, I could have been proven to be wrong. In other words, if I had left and this country had flourished and policies that were being promulgated or put forward had succeeded, then we'd say, but Nkosana got it wrong. Look at where we are.
Is our citizens in this country prepared for men who stand up for what they believe in? I asked this question because you came back and wanted to give back. You started a political party, a political movement, and you asked for people's vote. They did not give it to you. Even after you stood up and said, this is wrong, let's change. Are our citizens ready?
But remember what I told you. I told you that our people are fighting not to change the system. Our people are fighting to be on the inside implementing the same things. They want to be the ones at the feeding trough, not to change anything. That's where we are as a people.
But the majority of those who vote never dream of getting to the feeding trough.
No. But because of patronage. So they expect some favors to come their way because they voted for you. They don't expect you to do good for the country. Let me give you an example of one of the provocations when I was campaigning. Say you came to one of my town hall meetings with your wife. I would look at you, I would ask you very politely to stand up, and I say, so tell me something. Because I would tell people I was not going to buy trinkets, I was not going to buy them anything because I did not want to buy their vote. I wanted them to make the right decision about who should run the country for the families to then be able to do for themselves what they need to do. So I would say, so you want me to come and buy stuff for your household. And then after that, you expect that you still have got a wife. And I would say, you think that if I wanted to sleep, your wife should say no. And they would be shocked. But the message would get through. If I come to your household and become the supplier, the provider, you don't, if I were that way minded, I would say mukadzi way. But people don't think like, until you tell them, they don't think through for themselves. Kuti. That's what you are implying. You are selling, you are abdicating your role as a husband and a provider. And therefore, what is likely to happen is that your wife will go off with the new provider. Unpleasant message, but true.
I mean, there was a point when you're having a conversation, Doc, and you said that Zimbabwe is Zanufied. Can we have that conversation?
Yeah, it is Zanufied. Our behavior as ordinary citizens now, when you're going driving, when you get onto the Zimbabwean roads, what do you experience? What you experience is people now think kuti nyayo chef. Yet not chef. We don't expect a chef to comply with the rules. We think they are above the rules. They drive at speeds which are not right. They break the driving codes, right, left, and center. They don't stop at traffic lights because in our brains now we think kuti being important is evidenced by non-compliance with the rules. Rules are for nobodies, small people. So all people want to be important. What Zimbabweans now do? Zimbabweans don't comply with anything if they can get away with it. They don't comply with anything. How do you build a country? How do you build a society that is functional when everybody, we take a constitution, we say it's our constitution, we made the rules, but we don't comply with it. So what is our society? What are rules for? If you and I form a club, and we form our own constitution because we are the members of the club, we own the club, and then we don't comply with the rules of the club.
What is the root of that problem? Is it leadership? Is it the leaders that we have? Is it the people?
It's because the people we have put in charge, they have now said to us, Isus, we are above the rules. Our servants, because that's what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be our public servants. We give them this responsibility, then they say, no, we are your bosses actually. And now Isus, we are above the rules. The rules are for you, not for us. And then, of course, like I said, everybody wants to be important. Those of us who can get away with it want also to be important. Also now, demonstrate kuvanuvese kuti inini, I'm important, and how do I show that? I don't comply. Lack of compliance is the evidence of being important. You understand? That's where it comes from. The example is set at the top. Once the top demonstrates through the way they live, kuti, no, we are going to obey the rules. When there is a meeting, I will come on time. I will respect people. People will fall into line and do the same. My idioms tell you everything. A fish rots from the head. And how do you actually show you are important? What is the idiom? Do you know the idiom? Yes. Gudo guru ita say. Do we do that? Do we?
How do we extricate ourselves from this problem that we face? Because it's now going to be generational.
Yeah, I know.
So how do we bring ourselves out of it?
Again, the truth of the matter is, you and I can make a decision, good, at my level. As I get out of here, I'll observe all the traffic rules. But you want to change this country wholesale, the top has to lead by example. It's the only way you're going. That's the only way you run a society. A society, the expectations are in that society has to be the leadership demonstrating by example. Then everybody will fall into line. That's how we're going to change this country. Once the top understands that and they do it, Zimbabwe will change.
What is your view, Doc, you run a think tank, Pan-Africanism, and this issue that we have a problem with passing on the baton. What is your view on that?
You know something. I was having a debate only yesterday with Pan-African youth, because that's how we run our project. And then I argued, could actually passing on when the rules say you should pass on the baton, they are the rules, so pass on the baton. But would I, if the rules were, you look at a lot of European countries, what they've got is regular elections, but there is no passing on, there is no term. America has got a fixed term. Most of the European countries don't have a fixed term. But reliable, credible, regular elections are important, because if Nkosana gets elected this year and the term is 5 years, I do my 5 years and I'm still doing a good job, my view is you should let me continue. I do 10 years and I'm still fit and I'm still doing a good job, my view is let me continue. But the elections themselves, which allow you as a citizen to give me the permission to continue, must be credible. You can't have it both ways. So if we don't have credible elections, our only fallback position is fixed terms. But fixed terms, they've got their downside as well. More often than not, somebody gets elected. They spend a whole year trying to figure out what's going on. Then if you are lucky, for a couple of years, they are doing the job. When you ending year 3, now they are looking to be re-elected 2 years down the line. They start preparing for the next. It's very wasteful. It's very inefficient. So if we were running efficient, credible elections, my own view would be get rid of the fixed terms. But if we don't have credible elections, then we're in a bind. Because if you are not performing, and I've said you can continue, but the elections are not reliable, then I've got you for life, right? Because I can't vote you out. If I could be assured I can vote you out, I would say scrap the fixed terms. They waste resources. They are very inefficient.
I asked this question because Zanu PF has been just come out of a conference and they passed a resolution to extend.
No, but you see, I hope you listen to me carefully. I said, for as long as the rules say, if they want to do it properly, they should be addressing the term issue, not the person. Our constitution says, if you make that change, you must have a referendum, firstly. Secondly, it cannot benefit the incumbent. So if we chose to change our constitution, our term is now 7 years. President Mnangagwa should not benefit from it. The next president can benefit from it. You understand? So this should not be even a debate, because we've got current rules and the current framework. It means, again, our lack of compliance is being put in the bear. Because it should not be a debate. My current rules are very clear. If you want to change the term, yes, we can change the term, but President Mnangagwa should not benefit from it. The next guy should benefit from it. Guy or girl or whatever, yeah? You understand it, yeah? The only reason we are entertaining this is because we want to be non-compliant with the current rules as they stand. Otherwise, the debate are equal. Hapana debate.
Do you think that this, as you're talking about people wanting to feed, think that those who are pushing for this are looking for?
Yeah, because they are under the umbrella of the incumbent. That's what is going on.
Do they have real interest of the people?
No, not at all. Not a bit. You don't count in their calculus. You don't exist.
So talking to Dr. Oliver Mchena, she the former minister and a politician, she believes that we need to start training people to hold political office. Do you think that makes sense?
You know, I don't know. I don't know that I would necessarily agree. At some level, it is important. If you are a member of parliament, if you are aspire to be a member of parliament, I don't think there is any harm in having an institution that makes you understand exactly how parliament works, what your responsibilities are, and so on and so on. I don't think there is any harm in that. But is it that's going to make a difference? I don't think so. What is going to make a difference is whether we vote for people whose personality, who know, where we can see put this person actually genuinely from what they are doing in their own life now, if they got into that position, they would have the interest of the people at heart. It's not a qualification that does that. It's a personality issue. It's a personality issue. But am I saying there is no value in that? No, no, no. There is value. But that is not what is going to deliver what we're looking for. Yeah?
So how do we improve the quality of the vote? Because I think this is what you're talking about. The ability of people to be able to choose the right people into office, right?
You know what? If I ask you, so again, when I was campaigning, I did this. I would ask people, when you, as a family person with children, are looking for a school, what guides you? How do you choose where to send your kids? They would tell me, they would not use the word track record, but that's what they would describe. Hanzi, tinotarisa toona kuti kunopasa vana ndokupi. Yeah? Kunopasa vana ndokupi. That's called track record in a fancy language. When you want to take a member of your family to hospital when they are not well, how do you choose where to take them? Tinotarisa kuona kunzwa tichitaura na vanhu kuti kunoenda vanhu vachinopora vachidzoka vari vapenyu ndokupi. Track record. There is no difference here. If you are voting for somebody to occupy a position of responsibility that implies performance in a particular sector, are you looking to see who this person is? What is their track record? So it's no different. People already are equipped with the understanding of the framework. I look at your past in terms of what you've done, which would give me the confidence that if you get given this position, you've got a chance of delivering. I look at what you've done.
But we don't do that.
No, but I'm saying we do so in other spheres. So all we need to tell people, apply it to politics just as you apply that framework to other areas where you require to make a decision about making an investment for members of your family.
Do you think people think politics really matters in their life?
Oh, I think they do, but fortunately, they think of it as a transaction about patronage, i.e., I do it and you must consider it as a favor which you must return directly to me, not about running the country. That's the mindset we need to change.
Doc, there's some people who have argued that you are good as a technocrat and not as a politician.
But what does that mean? So tell me what, in their minds, what is a politician? Somebody who lies to you? Probably. And therefore, am I going to lie to you? No, I'm not. And therefore, according to their framing of what politics is, they are right. Yeah? They are right.
Because, I mean, to win elections, you have to be popular, you have to have populistic agendas and stuff to win elections. Even in the United States of America, we see how Trump is running his campaign based on, if you look at some of his supporters on X, formerly Twitter, you see how much they lie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm simply saying I don't believe in that framework. So if that's what the definition of a politician is, then the people are right. I'm not a politician. And I've got no intention to become one.
Are we going to see you coming back again to the political space?
At 73? No. It's not necessary. There are lots of young people in this country. Younger people who've still got the energy, who can run around and do. And maybe if people are looking for politicians in the form we've just described, I'm the wrong person in any event. Yeah?
In your view, as we close, do you see us as a country moving forward from this Zanufication that you talk about? And if so, how long do you think it will take us?
You know what? I would like to be hopeful that we will at some point. Do I see it on the horizon? No, I don't see it on the horizon. I think it's far off. But I would like to keep hoping that at some point we will change.
Because we have this fallback plan of term limits, do you think that could quicken things?
No, not necessarily. You see, term limits is a framework which could help us, but you cannot apply term limits to remedy the issue of electing the wrong people. You can have a succession of the wrong people using term limits, it won't get you anywhere. Can you tell me that in terms of what is happening in this country, there is a difference between what President Mugabe did and what is going on? So he was removed one way or other. It could have been a term limit. And then he was followed by somebody else. It depends when this one goes, if he goes, who is going to follow him? So term limits in themselves do not deliver delivery. They don't assure you of performance by the leaders to deliver something for the people. In themselves, no. You would have to add on to that the focus on merit, meritocracy. Are we now applying a filter for performance or not? If we don't do that, no, it's not going to get us out of the bind.
Amazing. I want to thank you very much for your time. But before I let you go, I'll just ask you if there's anything that weighs in your heart that I might not have asked you that you'd want to talk about, that you'd want to share with the people of Zimbabwe. Just under 2 minutes.
No, the only thing I can say is that Zimbabwe is a beautiful country. And the truth is, when people meet Zimbabweans outside of this country, they're a bit confused. Zimbabweans have proven themselves globally to be capable, intelligent people. And the people try to understand, how do people like this run, let me borrow from President Trump, a shithole country in terms of performance like Zimbabwe? Because the two don't match. People see Zimbabweans as an amazing people in terms of intellect, commitment, application, work ethic. And then they look at the country and where it is and its performance. The two don't belong together. So if you want me to send a message to Zimbabweans, I would have to say, as a people, we've got a beautiful country, which has got hardworking people, largely actually compliant people, largely actually peaceful people. We've got natural resources for the size of this country and the size of this population that are unmatched in many respects. We've got weather and land and the quality of land for agriculture that is unmatched by many, many other countries. So in short, we've got it all except the way we govern ourselves. If we fix the way we govern ourselves, nothing will stop us. We'll fly.
Amazing. I want to really thank you, Doc, for joining us and for sharing such rich thoughts that I'm sure will benefit those who watch the Free Talk in proper partnership with the Frederick Newman Foundation for Freedom. And as I was sitting down with Dr. Nkosana Moyo and having this conversation, you kind of have an epiphany and to just simply say, it's really not our leaders, it's us. It's a time. There's this time where, as a people, we must sit down and decide what do we want for our country. And as we stand up and go to the polls, we make a decision that will better us as a nation, our children and their children, so that we can begin to meet the expectations that the doc has talked about, that when people see us out there, we have a Zimbabwean who was which was CEO in South Africa. We have had Atham Tambara, professor who is out there, a whole professor of robotics in the United States of America. He goes there and he succeeds. We had the late Alex Magayisa, a law guru in the United Kingdom at Kent University, teaching law, succeeding. Yet
Let me give you more.
Yes.
The first regional director for the World Bank, the first black, was Zimbabwean, Callisto Madawa. We've got James Manyika. He was a senior partner in McKinsey. He was a science advisor to Obama. He's a Zimbabwean. Now he's with Google. That's the caliber of people who come from this country.
Wow. This is the Free Talk. I, your host, Dara B. Until next time, please don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us so that we continue to give you these incisive discussions that can make a difference for our country. Thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you.